Hey everybody, this is Jim Neeb. Thought I'd do a quick overview of my new AVID ATC system. Mine's quite a bit different. So the reason I wanted to do this is I wanted to show how flexible their hardware and software is. If you want to see what like their full-blown system with the rack in the back and everything that they're shipping, they have lots of documentation and videos, and I'm sure some other people will be posting that. Mine's different because I only have a 4x4 system, and that's all I have room for in my shop. But I do quite a bit of signs and things that are 6 or 7 feet long. So I need to tile things through the length of my Y direction. And so I can't have a rack in the back that blocks me sticking things out the back. So, and I don't do a lot of production work, so I don't need 10 or 11 tools sitting in there or anything. So what I did was I got the spindle, which by the way is awesome hardware. That's, of all the AVID spindles I've had, that one is by far the nicest. And I've got the tool touch off here that came with the EX controller. And so the only other thing you need to run this system automatically from just the manual tool changes I was doing by just sticking the tool holders and tools in the spindle, which by the way is also very convenient. Even if you don't go full ATC, just having this spindle and being able to go through a job and switch the tools out without having to get on there and wrench on it on the spindle is pretty nice. But you need to automate everything. You need the new aux box at a minimum, which gives you the electronic and pneumatic controls to run the spindle and the air blast and things like that. So I just got that in. I've been playing with the software. It's been super hot here in Phoenix area, so I haven't had a whole lot of motivation to get out here in the heat, I guess, to finish it. So I just finished all the calibrations up today, and I thought I'd put a little video out so you can kind of see what options you might have besides the full-blown system, just in case that makes more sense for you. So what I did was I just built a simple rack along the side that's removable. I can just unscrew this with 2 bolts at each end and pop the whole thing out, because that kind of goes along with the way I use my system. Is I need, again, I don't have a lot of room, but I need flexibility. So I have also made my rotary unit removable pretty easily. So I can remove the spoil board and the rotary unit and get a full 4x4 feet and actually slide things through. So I wanted to make the rack easy to remove as well. But it also goes back in with precision because I used these pack of dogs, they're called, but they're a hold down device that self-aligns and screws it in place real quick. But what I wanted to show is, like, this is completely different orientation from the way AVID has theirs in the rack in the back. Theirs move out and pick up from there. Mine don't move there. This is just simple block of laminated plywood that I painted. I drilled holes in here. Every odd one of mine, I can put really long tools in here because I've lined them up centered on the hold down holes that I have here. So I can actually have like a 4 or 5 inch tool that goes down through the top here in certain holes. And then for most of the standard bits, they just fit in here. Like even my big 90-degree V bit fits in here without hitting the spoil board. But the other thing you notice is, besides the horizontal type holders, you can also do the standard fork type ones, and the software is very happy with it. You calibrate each one of these bin locations and you tell it, is this a vertical or a horizontal? And if it's horizontal, which direction does it come in? It can handle all 4 directions. You can tell it how far to get out of the way before it goes up, so that you can clear up. Like this one, I have my 2.5 inch slab slayer in here, so it can get out of the way. And so I'm just going to show you a quick video of this running. It's working very smoothly now. One thing I'll say is, for my use, you know, most of my jobs don't have more than 3 tools probably. So I don't really need this, but what's kind of nice is this holds 7 tools overall. I don't this holds 95% of the tools that I always use. So it's kind of convenient. I don't have to go in, pick the tool out and put it into a tool holder and like keep changing tools out. This covers most of the stuff I need to do. So I'm just going to lay out my most commonly used tools and update my tool table and try and keep my Vectric in sync with it. Now, if that turns out to be too much of a chore, it's also very easy just to go a little bit more manual. And I know Avid's working on changing the software a little bit so that the bin and the tools can be separate, so you can make those swap outs a little bit easier too. So that's the idea here. Is this is very flexible. Again, you can go their full-blown automated system, or there's a lot of customization capability that they've built into the software already, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to show you, it's actually automatically switching to my laser. In the case of the Avid tool holder, because the laser's on the side, they made a new laser deploy unit that goes higher to get it out of the way because it sits beside the spindle. In my case, I'm coming in this way and the laser's on that side, so I didn't actually have to get that. My laser can be on there and it clears all of my tool positions in all 8 of these spots. So let's go take a look and see what it looks like in action, and I'll kind of describe what it's doing.
All right, now we're going to run through a program that cycles through all 8 of the ATC tools as well as the laser. So got tool number 1 here already in the spindle. It's going over and it's going to touch down at XYZ 0. That's to show that it adjusts properly for the various tool lengths. So it's checking to see if there's a tool there, and then it's going to place it in the spot. And then it's going to go get the next tool. And the first thing it does is check with, well, it's going to go back to the old place. I don't know why it does that move yet, but I have to look into that. It checks to see if there's a tool in there, so it hovers over it briefly to see if the tool position is empty or not. And then it's going to go to the touch off and adjust for the new height and go back to XY0. Now you can set that to test or to measure the tool height every time, or you can do it in a faster mode where it's basically going to just check to see if there's data there or not. In other words, it'll measure it once and then store the data, and then it won't measure it again. So that's faster, but probably a little less safe. So now let's switch to tool 99, which is my laser, and it's going to burn a little circle around that XY0 spot. Now let's undeploy the laser. And now we're going to move over and pick up tool 8, which is the one in the fork. So you can see this tool pickup is different because instead of picking straight up vertically, it's going to slide out horizontally. So that shows, the software is very flexible. It doesn't care which kind of tool holder it is. You basically go through calibrating each one of these positions, and you tell it whether it's a vertical or horizontal holder. And you can see over on the right the 2 calibrated or calibration devices sitting next to that block of wood that I'm touching down on. Those go in the spindle and the pocket respectively, and you calibrate the exact position of every one of those pockets, so you get a nice accurate placement everywhere. So it's the other thing to note about a fork type holder is that it's not compatible with the dust shoe because it has to reach in there and slide in. So it's going to prompt you to remove the dust shoe first before it goes and picks it up. So that kind of makes it not super useful because it's going to stop anyway. So in reality, it's probably just better to have it do a manual tool change, and then it gives you it'll stop and also prompt you. But instead of asking you to swap out the or take off the dust shoe, it's going to basically just do a manual tool change and say, hey, can you insert the tool or take the tool out when it's switching. So, and that's just a little faster, so that's a better way to do it. I just wanted to demonstrate here that it can be done. So I took the dust shoe completely off of this so that but I do have to toggle through the prompts here and make the software happy that it knows that I know that I have to take the dust shoe off. So now I'm doing a 90-degree V-bit. Go touch down. And when this goes back to place in there, you'll see that it hovers over there right there briefly. And that what it's doing is using the proximity sensor to make sure there's not a tool in that position before it goes and tries to place a tool there. So it's safe, kind of a safety mechanism there. I'll show where that sensor is in a moment here. Now when it goes to pick a new one up, it uses the air blast to blow the dust off and then moves over. Now it picks up that tool before it heads on over. And then it does an air blast to blow off the touch or the tool setter and does a check there. And it's going to go back and touch that one down. So you can see very flexible here. I've run this quite a few times. It's very reliable, very smooth. You can see it travels at full height to avoid any clamps or anything. If you make your own custom tool bin rack like I have here, you got to make sure that your heights are all okay with things like the gantry and everything. I have only about a 1/4 inch clearance here. You can see it's pretty tight. So, before you go stick this thing in there and run it at full speed, make sure you jog around and make sure that there's clearances everywhere before you actually start trying to use something like this. But it works very good, and like I said, the calibration software is very flexible as to where these pockets are and which type they are. I made a little visibility window on each side of mine so I can see what kind of a bit or tool is in the system, but that's not absolutely required. And now it's my 60-degree V-bit. Alright, taking a quick look at the aux box. First, on the outside, you can see this row, actually 2 columns of pneumatic airline output. So this first row is the default normally open, so they're all plugged because I'm not using them. But basically, if the control for that is off, it's going to output air on that normally open. And then the back one, like this one here that I'm using for my laser air pressure air assist, is the normally closed. So when you activate that line, then that has air. I'm using 3 air lines, one for the air blast, which blows the dust off of the tool touch off and this tool holder tapers, one for the laser deploy and one for the laser air blast. So there's still lots of spares there. And then the main airline that's coming out of here is the one it's always on basically, and it feeds the spindle to latch and unlatch the tool holder. And then you can't really see it here too good, but right there is the air pressure sensor, and it also reads its little LCD screen that you can kind of see, but you can't see the number. That displays the air pressure as well, so you don't need a gauge. Looking at the inside, there's the board. This is the Ether 1616. That's a Centroid board. That's the one that essentially gives you the extra IOs to control things. There's a nice bank of a pneumatic manifold here. There's a board here that AVID designed that essentially is for clean wire routing and stuff. So that's how they, instead of using a bunch of the physical relay board that comes with the Ether 16, they basically put all the connectors and switches and options so that they can configure it different ways for like plasma, laser, and router and stuff. This is something I added. I needed 12 volts for my laser crosshair and my halo light under my spindle, and there just happens to be enough room
on the DIN rail in here so I could squeeze that in and integrate it in. But it's a very nice integrated solution here. Gives you lots of other options for pneumatics. There's also some extra connectors back in here where if you don't need all these pneumatics, you can also potentially get some electrical IOs off of here to run other things as well if you have the desire to integrate other features into your system. So it's a nice little box. Again, well done by AVID. Not sure how well you can see it, but up under here behind this spindle is the 2 air blast ports on either side, and then in the middle is a proximity sensor that's used to detect whether or not there is a tool holder in the tool bin before the system tries to place a tool in the bin or retrieve one.
All right, that wraps it up. Again, I didn't mean for this to be a detailed overview. AVID's got a lot of good videos, and I'm sure a lot more is coming from them. This was just meant to be a quick overview, and also really to show the flexibility if you wanted a subset of the hardware that AVID has, or want a completely different set of tool holder pockets or bins like I did. The software can accommodate that very easily. So again, kind of follows along with AVID's typical support of flexibility for different users' needs. So a nice job by them here. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments section. I always answer them. Thank you.